Hey, let's go ahead and get started with the messages from our spirit guides, angels, and ancestors. I just saw the death card. So there is some type of a transformation that is happening as we speak with the collective. We have the King of Cups, okay? These are in German, so bear with me. A friend of mine got me them from a trip to Germany. Here we go. Oh, the Queen of Cups is the challenge. And what else do we have? Ooh, we've got the Devil. Okay, here we go. Toxic connection, possibly. Four of Wands, maybe in the past there was some type of a celebration. Maybe, I feel like this is a couple. We got the Star. Okay, I gotta cover this up or I'm gonna get in trouble. The Star is the overall message. We've got the Five of Wands, some type of conflict between a husband and a wife, or some type of fighting going on, or we got the Page of Wands here. What's going on in the environment, Spirit? Please show me. We got the Knight of Cups. Is there competition in a relationship? Page of Swords, somebody spying on somebody. And Six of Wands. Okay, what else do we have here? Bottom of the deck, Ten of Cups. This is about a family situation. One of the messages that I'm getting is never make your spouse ever feel like they need to compete with anyone else. Okay? Period. Not with your job, not with other people, not with your friends, none of that. Not with the children. Because I'm almost getting like, there's this husband and wife situation here, okay? Husband and wife. So this isn't going to be for everyone. Now, whether you're married or not, regardless. I almost get that there's a competition when it comes to courting your partner. There's all these other things that are in the way. But I really feel like, all in all, this is like fortune after difficulty. This is like the happy home life, happy family. The marriage, the kids, or maybe it's like the kids are taking precedence right now over this couple because there's something toxic going on with the child here. So it's keeping this relationship, this partnership, it's keeping you separated. But I feel like even though there may be distance between you and your partner, because the Star can be about distance between these partners, and that might be the challenge. You're like overseas from your partner, whether one of you is on a work thing or there's something to do with the two of you guys being separated. And I feel like regardless of the chaos that's going on around you, your emotions are like, you're solid when it comes to the love that you have for one another. And I just feel as though this might have to do with something when it comes to your children, but I do feel like this is something you're going to be overcoming. Okay, maybe somebody's traveling back, because I do have the horses here. Somebody traveling. You may end up leaving the kids behind or leaving somebody behind. I'm getting children, a child. Maybe you're at odds with this child. It's like they're not little anymore. And it's like, I, it, it's kind of sad because this is where we're really at with our children nowadays. It's almost like we don't have anything in common with them anymore, And a lot of these kids, and I hate to say that because not all of them are, but a lot of these kids are self-entitled. They have mental health issues because we do have the toxic. There's something going on with maybe this child that's toxic. It could be some type of a mental health disorder, mental health issue that you're dealing with, because it's almost like you and your partner are solid. Everything's good between the two of you, but there's something that's keeping you bound elsewhere. And I do see you overcoming whatever this is. But even with the Knight of Cups here, like, she doesn't look very nice. She don't look very nice. It's almost like, your kid is fighting with you one moment and then wanting to bring a cup of love the next minute. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. It's like one minute everything's good, you're having a conversation, you're on the same page, and then the next minute they're, going to bat with you. They want to fight with you. Five of Wands, Page of Wands, or we have the 4, the 5, and the 6 of Wands. And the Page of Wands. A lot of Wands energy. But I also feel like there's a lot of, it's almost like for some of you, you just want to go home. So, to see your partner because of the sexual aspect of the relationship. And it's like, yeah, you love this person, but I almost feel like maybe the toxicity is like and I don't mean this to be derogatory or rude or any of that stuff, because I do feel like there's a lot of love between the two of you, but it's almost like the sexual aspects is what's driving you to want to go home. It's like it's toxic where you are, and you almost want those guilty pleasures in order for you to, I don't want to say make light of everything else, but it's kind of like that. It's like you're addicted to one another. And maybe that's the problem, is you are addicted to someone, and the child knows that, and that's why the child is acting out. Is because maybe the mom has moved on. Maybe the mom is like finally in a relationship and choosing herself, or the father. It could be either way, and maybe it's a new partnership and the kid is lashing out because of a jealousy of the mom moving on, and the child, because the child is the one over here and across from the devil, but also this relationship that you're in is almost devilish, even though it's like, I do feel like this is a relationship that is very deep-seated past life relationship. And I feel like the two of you guys are bound, like supposed to be together. But what's happening is the two of you guys, your happiness is almost making the children or the child sick. And I feel like there might be some type of a mental health issue when it comes to this child. And the child is what is wanting to keep you apart. I do feel like if you are waiting on any type of help is on the way. That's what these white horses are all about, is help is on the way. Yeah, I almost get that. I'm almost getting a very bipolar energy when it comes to the child or children. I don't know if they're autistic. I don't know, like, if they just have some type of toxic mental health issue. It's almost like and for some of you, this might be like an adult child, or they're like a late teen. I'm getting definitely teen energy up into the early 20s, possibly, with the Knight of Cups here. Or maybe they're an adult trapped in, or a child trapped in an adult's body. Okay, whatever that means. I feel like there was a time where everything was like happy, and we, maybe you guys were like just trying to pretend that everything was okay on the surface, but deep down inside there was a lot of shit that was going on. You and this partner could be of different nationality, I'm getting, or it could be different beliefs. Okay, because I have one, he's dark skinned, she's light skinned. But I'm almost getting like, you're not letting anything tear the two of you apart. It's like, regardless of all this stuff, it's like the two of you guys see eye to eye. You and your partner are seeing eye to eye. Even though, like, there's a lot of parents who are estranged from their children right now due to all of the trickery of what has happened in the world. If there was ever a mental health disorder when it came to your kids, let me tell you, it's like they're flying their freak flag high right now. And any type of mental health disorders, because we have that Neptune and Saturn both in Pisces, like, it's almost so magnified. Because if you think about Pisces, Pisces is about illusions, delusions, fantasies, mental institutions, sorrow, depression, sex, drugs, alcohol, codependent relationships. And I think because of everything that's going on and all the fuckery, the two of you guys have become almost toxically codependent on one another, and maybe through the sexual aspects, there could be also some type of addictions here too. Or maybe you're just addicted to each other and you're addicted to the sex, okay? And I think that, yeah, because I'm seeing her up here naked, okay? Sorry, I can't show you, I'll show you real quick. But I'm just seeing the nudity, all right? I'm seeing, yeah, see, we even have a dark one and a light one here, just like right above it, we see these two. I'm going to show you like this because I have to cover up the card. But do you see? The devil is what's binding these two together. And so it can be, like I said, the sexual aspects. And I feel like the challenge is being able to come back together because you're craving one another. Because of all the toxicity of all the stuff that's going on with the children, So listen, guys, be really careful of that. Okay? I do want to say that. The challenge, maybe it's hard for the two of you guys to, be able to sit down and talk because, you're at a distance from one another. So, like, there could be a time difference. There could be, whatever the differences are. And I feel like the feminine here is the one who's wanting to turn her back on all the arguing and the fighting. And she just wants to face her partner because it's almost like her partner... She feels like her partner is the only one that can just take it all away. I almost hear Calgon, take me away, right? And it's like he's offering her sweet nothings. But, she's having to learn and remember what it's like to, listen, who were you before you got into a relationship? And don't forget, if this is a relationship that's not the father of your child, but it's like the stepfather, your kids were here first. And you need to be there for your children, all right? A lot of people will tend to go towards their partner because it's new and it's fresh and it's exciting and the sex, and it's usually a lot about the sex. And I'm just going to say it because that's just the truth. I don't even care, how that makes you feel. But it can cause a lot of problems when it comes to your children. And, a lot of parents, and I see this a lot of the time when they get into a new relationship, they tend to turn their back on their children, and that's when their children get worse. So anything that is already been an issue tends to get magnified when the partners, go outside of the relationship that you had with your kids. Hopefully that's making sense. So I feel like at the end of the day, 6 of Wands, I do feel like there is going to be a victory. I do feel like there is a coming back together, but I do feel like there's also a disclaimer here is to pay attention, because there is going, to be some type of fighting and arguing. Because the only 2 major arcanas that we have is the Devil and the Star. And those are 2 really intense energies. Everything else is pip cards. There are some type of changes that are also coming through, and I do feel like there is going to be an end in sight. Maybe for some of you, it's just, it's hard to see right now. They're showing me that heron, is that what it is in the background? Okay, that's flying towards the star. Some of you guys could be flying. You could be flying back home, making plans to fly. Definitely getting travel here. But something toxic is keeping you bound. I'm going to leave that here, you guys, subject to interpretation. If you know somebody who needs to hear this message, please make sure you share it with them. Like, share, and subscribe. It does help my channel grow. If you are interested in a personal reading, all my information's in the description box down below. Hopefully this message makes sense to you guys. But I'm just not surprised, especially with all the shit that's going on in the world when it comes to our kids. Man, if mental health was not an issue back in the day, like, I'm Gen X. We had mental health issues, but we got through it. Now, I don't know if it's the vaccinations. I don't know if it's the, garbage that they put in your food, the red dye number 40, or blue dye or yellow dye or whatever the hell's going on. But something's up. And I'm not going to lie. When I see the mental health shit that's going on in this reading, I kind of don't blame this couple for being each other's safe space, even though it can tend to be a little bit toxic and a little bit codependent. And again, it's not horrible if that codependency has to do with just needing to feel safe and just needing to feel happy for a minute because of all the craziness in the world. So that's not what I'm saying, when it comes to this couple, but, make sure that there is equal balance. And make sure that you're not the ones being toxic and you're able to balance out everything, in life. Because, again, that can really take a toll on your children when your children are already going through so much. Now, don't get me wrong. We do have a lot of children out there that are blatantly just little assholes. I'm seeing it every day. They're entitled. And they're willing to battle with their parents over wanting to be a furry or, all this gender ideology crap that they're pushing on your children in school. There's a lot going on here. And then, people like these kids, there's no consequences to their actions anymore. And so when they don't get their way, they tend to go off the deep end. And some of them, will even go as far as threatening to commit suicide, in order to get their way. Or, they're seeking for drugs or, a lot of it has to do with attention. Now, don't get me wrong. There are children out there who are having serious mental health issues. But, deep down inside, I do feel like there is a grain of, a pebble in there somewhere where they do know right from wrong. So, what used to be a happy home life, I feel like it still can be. It's just overcoming this experience in the meantime. Because I'm looking at this card here and you got all these, I'm almost getting liberals, and these kids, the government has now gotten the kids to fight against the parents. and turn these children into warriors against their parents. And again, that's the toxicity in all of this. And it's like, while you're over here thinking that everything was okay when it came to your family, now all of a sudden, it's not, and it's been within the last 4 years. So and it could last until 2025, 2026 even. When we have Saturn and Neptune move into Aries, that's when, all of this whole gender ideology and everything else, people aren't going to play into it anymore. It's already, ending. It's like all of a sudden they're talking about Kamala Harris being the first woman president. I remember for the last 3.5, almost 4 years, they didn't even know what a woman was. Now all of a sudden, she's black and she's a woman. Come on, man. She's a chameleon. And again, that's what they're selling to these kids. And these kids who don't know any better and who are highly influential are actually falling into the trap of all the shit that's going on and what they're being indoctrinated in when it comes to their school. So, maybe for some of you, it's putting your kids on homeschool and getting them out of the indoctrination stations that have been set up in order to turn your kids against you. The hard part, yes, is going to be like, rerouting in your life because, maybe you have to work. Obviously, we all do. We have bills to pay, right? And then making sure that your kids are doing their homework and taking care of their stuff. But at the end of the day, I think that, people who continue to have kids, multiple kids at that, and they're like, oh, I can't wait for them to get into school. Okay, well, you can't wait for them to be indoctrinated. I think we need to get back to, teaching our own kids. And I think that that's honestly where we're headed in the future, is where we're not going to have schools anymore because people are starting to wisen up and start realizing like, holy crap, they're turning my kids against me. If you continue to allow your kids to go out into these schools, don't be surprised when they become your enemy. Because I do feel like even though they might be sweet on the surface, for some of you, your kids are keeping secrets. And again, a lot of these states are saying, hey, we don't have to tell you when we vaccinate your kids. We don't have to tell you that your kid has a new gender and they're going by a different name at school. We don't have to tell you anything. So I feel like, there's that whole thing. Plus, there's a lot more underlying issues other than that whole thing. Not every child has mental health issues because of that. Some just have mental health issues because based in their astrology, there could be a lot of things that are going on in their personal life that you need to tend to. But when your children are as influential, I would be very careful. I would be very, very careful what you're allowing your children to consume. And I would volunteer for your kids' schools if you can. Volunteer in their classrooms so that you can get, a bird's eye view of everything that is happening. And, let your kids know, like, hey, if your teachers are telling you that you don't have to tell your parents, that's bad. That's one thing that I always taught my girls is if somebody tells you, shh, don't tell your parents, then obviously it's bad enough to where you need to tell another parent. And here's the deal. I even told my kids that with my ex-husband. Like, if your dad ever comes to you and says, hey, don't tell your mom, or vice versa, if I ever go to you and tell you don't tell your dad, then obviously whatever is going on might be bad enough to where you need to tell somebody. And use your discernment. Of course, if it's a surprise birthday party or something like that, obviously, again, use your common sense. So I don't know, guys, send this to reading to whoever might need to hear it. Anyone with kids, that is having a tough time with their children. There's a lot of messages here and a lot of really good advice, and hopefully you guys would be willing to share. Anyway, you guys, I love you all so much. Check me out over on Facebook and Instagram under the Footsteps to Peace and Peace Unhinged Tarot, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.